right. Yeah, Tilman, good to see you again. Now we have 26 officially.
Puria, it's really good to see you. And yes, Happy New Year again.
Happy New Year to you as well and to the audience. Welcome to the now third episode of the Extra Mile podcast.
Yes, welcome to the third episode. So how are we going to kick this off today? Maybe Puria, you can tell me about your first 10 days. How did it go? Some personal or professional highlights for you.
Yeah, this year began for me also in terms of execution. So the last times we talked really a lot about how we manifest the next year. And now one thing I did is in starting my startup with a partner. For me, it's like a super special moment. Yeah, looking forward now to build this up.
That's super cool. And I guess we will hear more about it here in the podcast.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think at some point we can tell also more about what it is and give people access to it.
Approximately by when?
I think we're talking about February. So our goal is now to really go publicly live mid to end February, I would say, is currently the goal.
All right. And how many Claude Code windows are typically running and building on this at a time?
Yeah, on average 5, yeah.
Good. That's also a number that I figured I'm able to run the team of 5 agents in parallel.
Yeah, at some point you lose the contact to them, right?
That's right.
And I know you were in San Francisco, right? So how was it for you? How did you kick off the year?
Of course, happy to. So yeah, I started the year in San Francisco, which was really a beautiful time. And one thing I did very conscious goal setting. Now in Lumina OS, you can listen to your goals. So I was running, listening to my goals, getting them into the body, which was great. Actually,
so cool.
While I was running, I met a group and spontaneously decided to join them. And at the end, I ran a full marathon distance on the 1st of January, which is, I think, also a good start. And I didn't have any supplements there. I was completely sober and my body was just capable of it. I also met some really amazing people in San Francisco, and this always happens, and it can happen anywhere there. But to the Munich community, this happens here as well, and I think the key is really openness. And yeah, now I'm going already a bit deep into it, but I just feel like saying it. I was really focusing on 3 things, I think, the beginning of the year. One is recreation, the 7th habit of Stephen Covey. So with the body, mind, the heart, the spirit, so really recreating. The other thing is getting a lot of administrative things done, especially in those days now of transition. I'm building systems, and with those systems, the administrative things will be more flawlessly. And this enhances me in all our other areas of life. And then ultimately, I focused a lot on building Lumina OS as well. And so there are typically also those 5 agent windows building on the mobile app and on the web app in parallel.
So powerful. And let me go back to one thing. So you ran a marathon without any supplements. I know, like when I did like few half marathon sessions, yeah, one time I had like no liquid with me, and it was really draining. It was really hard. So I personally know how hard it is. So like without any liquids, any supplements to go that distance. So yeah, congrats, Tilman. And this was like a spontaneous decision, and you went for it. So yeah, it's a strong start into the year, and maybe it also shows like how much energy also people can send over to you, like pushing together the limits. So it's really beautiful.
So now this is not an official recommendation to run a marathon without any supplements.
Be careful, folks.
but I think the key here is the body is capable of so much more than we oftentimes think.
Yeah, it's really beautiful what we can achieve. And yeah, last time when I did this, so also a personal anecdote, I had a knee injury. So sometimes there are some physical limits hitting you, but it's just okay. I mean, now I'm good again. Now I can also go longer distances, and kind of makes you also stronger, just like to try again and give yourself time. And yeah, hopefully we can go this year for a marathon together, Tilman. Let's see.
That would be amazing. So I would actually commit to that. If you want it, you can commit to that now.
Yes, let's do it.
Let's do it.
We just need to find a location. It's the only open point.
All right. So next week we will announce the location for our marathon this year. I wanted to say hackathon. Maybe there will also be a hackathon this year.
Well, we could make like the last mile, the extra mile, a hackathon, so where we have our laptops. No, we can take our phones and dictate it to the agents.
You know what I think? When we run our marathon, after the finish line, we should run 1 extra mile.
Let's do it. This is now our marketing stunt, yeah.
Yes.
Cool.
the book, The Power of One More. What's one more repetition I could make in the gym? What's one more way I could show her that I love her? What's one more way we could make this podcast more valuable to our audience?
I love that.
Yeah.
I remember like Steve Jobs, he had always this in a slide deck. So he did everything, explained everything. And he was like, there's one more thing. And this turned out so well because this showed like his compassion for his customers. It's like, hey, we're doing everything we're doing, but there's even one more thing because we love our customers. We want to keep them excited. So with that, let's make the podcast longer and longer. Like,
Well, I'm really excited to
I'm
hear
kidding.
your one more thing for today.
Oh yeah. You want to write now, or shall we?
No, keep it for later.
I keep it for later.
Because now let's start going already a bit deeper into AI and maybe some of the highlights that you had in the last days.
Yeah. So one of them is like AI avatars. I was talking to the Equis AI CEO in the last days, and he was showing me their product, and I was super impressed. So it's really cool. So what they're building is a setup for where everyone, like business users, can create their AI avatars just within minutes. So it's like you upload your photo, and then you can configure like MCP tools. You can, of course, define a system prompt. System prompt is nothing shocking, but still, like, it shows like you got everything, I would say, like important. And then you kick it off, and then you can basically start using the agent. It feels like a FaceTime call. And now with that, like, reimagine education, reimagine customer support. Maybe also reimagine like how e-commerce will evolve over time. Probably this will go into the premium sector of e-commerce. It's also not yet very cheap to host or use or consume these type of AI avatars, but it's really impactful because already voice is showing like it is like the less technical way to use products, but now with the AI avatar, it feels like even less technical than voice, and you can just relax, talk to your assistant, and then the assistant will really try to be also emotional, empathic. So there's also now this emotional intelligence part where the AI avatar also tries to understand how is the person feeling. Is maybe the person tired? Then the AI avatar is actually helping the person to be more motivated. Or is maybe the person frustrated? Then the AI avatar tries to actually understand why the person is frustrated. So it's not like that whenever you talk to the AI avatar, it's like, hey, how are you doing? How can I help you? So it really tries to understand, okay, this person is in a calm state, so let me also be calm. So to kind of create this harmony. And I think this is really, really great. And I really love it. And you can take it even further. So you can also now start like creating your own voice with, for example, 11 labs and connect it to an AI avatar. So it's very exciting. And we can see more and more this entry point to AI is decreasing. So actually everyone can now access it. We could see it now with the development revolution, you could say, so that more people can now actually create software. And this is now also happening for other components. And one of them is with AI avatars.
That's super exciting. And as you said, just uploading a picture and then it would already generate an avatar of you. Then with a real voice, it's exciting. I think when those AI avatars become more and more empathetic, then it also encourages people to become more and more empathetic. Because we learn so much from others. So if these AI avatars are trained in a good way, it can be such a good tool for learning, as you said. For shopping as well. Now I was even thinking of coding. So I could speak about my software project with an AI avatar and get some second opinion.
Absolutely. Yeah. Because also with coding right now, we're stuck in the terminal, you could say. And it's not pleasant for everyone, right? Classical developers love the terminal. I'm also still like sticking to the terminal. Yeah, but not everyone is like that, right? So maybe imagine a PM. A PM wants like just to be super laser focused on their product. And that's a great idea. Maybe we should build it at some point.
or elderly people that are really not so familiar with technology. They could speak with an avatar that helps them build some software.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
I was also thinking of really a personal shopping assistant, like an Italian shopping assistant that tells me how I can upgrade my style. I would find that really cool.
Yeah, like tailored suits all day.
As you say, Taylor, or maybe a personal Taylor Swift assistant that would sometimes sing a nice song for me.
Oh yeah. I had this moment with 50 Cent songs. So there are now more and more soul version of like old 50 Cent hits. And these soul versions are so cool. So they most of them went viral.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's crazy. Like also how much emotional nuances these songs have. I didn't expect it. So this was also one of the highlights last year with AI music. But I
So
still
maybe,
personally love normal music, right? So don't get me wrong. So there's of course we need human-made music as well. But
and maybe you want a 50 Cent personal assistant. By the way,
oh yeah,
we have to cut out the scene about Taylor Swift just to be sure.
yeah, we cut it out.
All right. Or otherwise, the audience, please keep it for yourselves.
Yeah.
No, you were also speaking about AI shopping assistants, and we had a couple of announcements in the last days. For example, that Microsoft built in shopping into their Copilot. Amazon released this Buy for Me feature. ChatGPT, they already announced their partnership with Shopify a long time ago. And I think Salesforce published this statistic that overall Christmas shopping went up by 12%. But most importantly, the customer conversion that comes out of conversations with AI agents is multiple times as high as when
Wow.
people click on a Google link or from social media. It's multiple times as high. And yet, I think we are still at the beginning there. And that I find truly inspiring because, okay, what kind of cognitive concepts are behind that? Why are people more likely to buy when they buy via an AI assistant? So that I find super interesting.
Yeah, and I think it also kind of makes sense. So when I imagine like being in a shop, and whenever you enter a physical store and you're still not sure what you want, right? Sometimes you just go in there to discover, and then you just enter, and someone's like, "How can I help you?" And just out of the purpose that this person knows, I ticked it off. I ticked off. I asked this person, "How can I help you?" And sometimes it's like, I don't know yet, right? So maybe later I have a specific question, and then you can really get like a help around it. And when someone like hits this differently, so when you enter the store and the person is like, "Hey, how you doing? Great that you're here. Is there anything specific you're looking for? Maybe do you want me like to show you like what is our latest collection?" And then you feel like inspired. It's like, oh, they have a new collection. Yeah, I actually would like to find it out. What is it? And then this person can really help you to discover, be excited, and then this increases the chances of buying. I mean, at least this is how I'm functioning personally. Then there's a higher chance I would buy something. And I can imagine like with AI, we can achieve that online as well, because just going onto an online shop, seeing the thumbnails, clicking through products and reading text descriptions versus an AI assistant, like really, getting into the details, talking with you, trying to understand you. This is going to increase the chances. And I'm now super curious because you said that they are already measured. So I think maybe this is not just a small thing, but maybe the big thing in this year with e-commerce, with AI avatars.
Yeah. And, you know, I think when people enter a shop, as you said, they usually come in there with an intent or with a problem. Sometimes they just want to get inspired, but oftentimes they come in there with a problem. But
Yeah.
then being in a conversation with somebody to actually speak about that problem, getting some second opinion, getting some more information in the conversation with, this is then really, really key to get to a purchase decision. And the customer would buy something if they have the feeling that this product can solve the problem that they have. So,
Absolutely.
so I think really those three key things. They come in with a problem, they get some consulting, but they are also in a conversation with. And I think this is a great bridge to sales in general, being in conversation with somebody instead of just hearing somebody present something. Then somebody is much less likely to buy. But being really in a conversation with somebody, then I can really get the sense, okay, this other person or this AI avatar is able to solve my problem. So I will follow their recommendation at the end.
Yeah, absolutely. And I really love that you already brought this up because I was thinking, hey, Tilman is always having this super special approach of tackling sales. And maybe if you like, we can enter this next to explore together today. Because last time you also said there is, you have this vision within the next 2 weeks to bring out a knowledge package around like how you can actually tackle sales in a totally different way to also build up these personal relationships, but like a lot of more flavors around it. So what would you say like are the essentials around this?
So one thing is I'm going to publish a communication masterclass online. It's a workshop format that we've done here in Munich in person. This will basically help you to enhance any kind of conversation or relationship. Now, very sales specific, I have a masterclass next Wednesday that you are all very welcome to join. We already have over 100 registrations. So there we speak
Congrats.
about thank you, NLP skills for sales. So what is NLP? Neuro-linguistic programming. It's a concept to understand, basically to enhance metacognitive thinking skills. So the thinking about thinking, why do I think the way I think? And how can I influence it or change it? These are very, very powerful tools. I would say we use them already on a day-to-day basis in any kind of conversation. But this is just some theory around it, how we can use it more consciously. Of course, we want to use it in a very responsible way with a good intent. In that masterclass, I will go deeper in NLP tools for sales. Before I speak now a bit about the different NLP tools that I will present, I would say now and in the next years, especially 3 things are going to be very important when we think of sales in the AI era, or in general, differentiation in the AI era. And one thing is working backwards. We already spoke about the problem, understanding the problem really, really well, becoming an expert in the problem of the customer and working backwards from there. The second one is really connecting with somebody, because only when I really connect with somebody, the other person will trust me, but also only then I can really understand another person. And the third component is also to inspire, to be a source of inspiration, but also to be open to get inspired. And this needs openness, curiosity. Curiosity is such an important skill. And I think curiosity, it correlates a little bit with this playfulness. So I have a good friend, and she used to say it as a disadvantage that she's so childish. I say, no, this is one of your biggest advantages, to be so curious, to ask so many questions. It's one of your biggest advantages. Now, I think these 3 things are important. So really working backwards, connecting with somebody, and inspiring and being inspired. And then when it comes to these very concrete sales skills, now let me just mention them in a nutshell. And if you want the details, you can join us on Wednesday. So the first one is rapport building. So how can I create a good and an instant connection with another person? And that's such a beautiful thing. I've gone deep into this for the last years. I think I'm now seriously able to connect with another person in an instant and very, very rapidly. And it just feels good because there is so much happening on different levels when we connect with another person. So I will speak about some very practical ways to connect with another person well. Then active listening. How can we listen beyond words and really focus on another person while they are speaking, rather than just waiting until it's my next turn to say something? Then precise questioning. That's number 3, precise questioning. So oftentimes people generalize, but then with the right questions, I can get to the real source of what the other person wants to express, wants to share, what their problem is. Then reframing. So how can I reframe a problem into an opportunity? And I think this is important for all areas of life. Maybe your spouse comes home with a problem that seems so big for them, and then you help them reframe it, and suddenly they see it in a different light and they just feel better. So reframing is another one. I have a few more, by the way. The next one is storytelling. So how can we tell stories and in that way make benefits really tangible, make people really understand it? Because humans learn through stories, and this has been like this for centuries. I mean, since the existence of humankind. Then state management. So how can I go into a sales conversation or into any conversation in a good state? In a state where the other person wants to open up, wants to trust. As a leader, when I go into the room, am I going in with the right state? Because the way I show up will influence how the other people feel. So that's about state management. I will speak about representational systems. So some people are more visual, some people are more auditory, some people are more kinesthetic. So matching and kind of matching the representation system of another person, and again in that way creating the connection. We will speak about embedded commands, so how you can use certain words in a conversation that really bring the conversation into a certain direction. Another one are pattern interrupts, and that's an important one as well. And you can, so sometimes maybe at the beginning of a meeting, the conversation might derive in a direction that is really not helpful. So how can you interrupt that pattern and bring the conversation back into a good direction? And just imagine with your partner, you have a conversation that is just not so comfortable, but also unnecessary. So how can you interrupt the pattern, help both of you to get into a new conversation? Another one is anchoring, so state anchoring. This comes a bit back to state management. So how can I anchor a good state? It could be listening to a song before you go into a meeting. It could be making a certain power pose before you make that call. Another one is empathy. And for empathy, the key is really to put yourself into the perspective of another person. So, and if you just practice this a few times, put yourself into their shoes. What is important for them? What fears might they have? What is going on in their mind? And then also put yourself into a third position, observing the two of you. Okay, what are their interests? What is something beyond what the two are thinking? What is important about the situation? And then you may get these bigger insights on some purpose-related things that are important for both people. And this could be ultimately what makes a difference in the sales conversation, to identify those higher purposes. And for that, the third position is so helpful. Another one are meta programs. So some people might be more opportunity-driven. They want to achieve something, or they want to become that AI champion in the organization. They want to lead something. Other people are more, they want to avoid losing their job. They want to avoid pain. So what motivates them? What's their program? And ultimately, future pacing. And I use this a lot personally when I connect with my goals, when I manifest them. So be that person already. But you can also use it in conversation. So imagine you use our software. It makes your team 30% more efficient. Imagine they can go home 1 hour earlier in the evening, spend 1 hour time with their family more, sitting there, connecting with the kids. And still you are 30% more productive. This is future pacing. So I will go much, much deeper into all of those topics. So I encourage you to join us on Wednesday in the NLP Skills for Sales Masterclass. So that was my pitch. That was my pitch, Puria.
I would say this wasn't a pitch. This was already like so many learning nuggets. I think like curious listeners might even like now start like to explore each of these components, maybe in advance of the session. And maybe we can also try to bring out this episode right before Wednesday. Then people can know about it even earlier. And yeah, it's super cool. I tried to join myself as well. I really love that. And I think also while you were explaining, you could already hear like there are interconnections between the points, right? So the storytelling with future pacing, they kind of go hand in hand. I really love the story about like being home earlier to spend more time with your loved ones, and how like a product can actually help you to achieve that. And this is like really helping people to improve their life quality. And this is like, I think one of the biggest motivations you always have continuously in life, because I was also reading a few things throughout the week, and one of them was a very simple principle, but it's true, right? We just have a short period here to live. So it's always about making this more meaningful, more beautiful, and whatever can help us to solve that problem is like one of the ultimate tools. And yeah, I really love that story. It really, while you were saying it, stick to me. So yeah, it's really powerful.
So Puria, as you speak about purpose and living a more purposeful life, so 2 days ago I listened to a podcast, No Priors, where NVIDIA CEO Huang was speaking, and he spoke about this idea of task versus purpose. And this was in the context of how is the job market going to develop in the next years? Because there is, of course, the fear outside that so many jobs will be replaced through AI. So what's going to happen there? And he gave a very powerful example of what's the purpose of our job. And the purpose of our job is typically not typing. The purpose is maybe helping customers to solve problems. And he gave the example of a lawyer. The task might be to write contracts, to read documents. But this is not the purpose. The purpose is to bring more justice into this world. So a lawyer, enhanced by AI, can do more of their purpose. Or think of a radiologist. A task might be to interpret some X-ray scans. But this AI can now do much better, and in the future even more. but the purpose is to help people, to heal people from cancer. So radiologists can heal more people from cancer in a more empathetic, in a better way. And that's just such a powerful idea. So we can eliminate some of the tasks, but people can connect more with their purpose, I think, in their work, hopefully also in life. And by the way, so speaking about the effects on the job market, he also mentioned there are so many jobs that AI creates right now, so many jobs. We just have to be open for those jobs. And you can basically choose. You can pick which job opportunities is it opening and which one fits to my profile or which one do I want to develop into. Now is a unique time in history. I think one of the most unique windows where we can step into those new opportunities.
I fully agree, Tilman. And I really like that you brought in the purpose aspect, because the thing is, when I was like thinking about this also like the last days in a totally different domain. So I was thinking about, okay, what would be the perfect third course now in Udemy? How can I maximize my impact? And I was like developing different ideas. But now when you brought this up, I was also thinking, because the last episode we also talked about, hey, how can we actually create frameworks to help others? So maybe this is something we can also think about. Like, we are bringing more and more ideas into the podcast. And I think if we can wrap it up in frameworks, we could even help more people. So this could be super exciting to explore next. And one thing I was checking out in terms of Udemy courses was, how can I now really maximize my impact? And I started with very specialized courses like Bedrock Agent Core. It's just one specific service. How can you become the expert in there? Or Mastering Gen AI. It was still a very in-depth course going into transformers architecture, going into how is an AI agent built from scratch. But then I was thinking, well, these are very specialized topics, and probably when you think about how can you help more people, this won't actually help them in their career development. So that's where also my thinking started to shift, because I was thinking about how can I, if I want to achieve 10,000 students in 3 months, how would it make sense? So how can I actually help 10,000 people? And then I realized, well, how did you do it yourself? When I was starting to become a solution architect, I was thinking about, okay, I need a certification. I need, for example, the associate SA certification, because then I'm really sure I have the skills. I like made it to the next level. So then I thought, well, do the same. So try to help people to get certifications in the AI space. And this is also how my thinking shifted in the last days. So now I also want to focus more on certifications, because I think this will help more people to get really upskilled to the next level. And I think this is a great mechanism to really, make it more meaningful for more people.
Puria, I think this is great. If I can just express one wish,
Please.
help them to pass the exam, but give them something more, which many of the courses that are out there don't, because they actually just prepare for the exam. But you want to help them to apply it as well. And I think with Codex, with Claude Code, with those agentic AI coding tools, with all the possibilities we have now, give them this extra mile piece in this course. So make them completely outperform in the exam, but make them also be able to apply it.
Thank you, Tilman. It's a great idea. So I will try to add the extra mile on top of the third course and helping others to build stuff and not just learn concepts and then put it away just to know, hey, I got the certification. So I really love that. And thanks for helping me to shape now the next course.
I mean, we are shaping your next course here on the fly.
Oh, yeah.
Speaking about AI, are there some announcements or other things that you would highlight from the last days?
There was one in the transition of last year to 26. So DeepSeek actually just dropped a paper. So 31st of December, they drop a paper and it's called mHC. So manifold constrained hyperconnections. Sounds also super technical and listeners will be like, okay, what is this thing about? And it was very interesting because they dropped a paper and then everyone was curious about it and it made a huge buzz. Went throughout the industry. It was shared multiple times on multiple platforms like LinkedIn, YouTube, and X as well. And then I was also curious. So I opened it up, looked at the paper, and this one is super big time important change in how AI models are trained. So what they did is they looked at the neural network part, which is called residual connections. So if you think of just one single neural network cell, what happens is signal goes in, you have an activation function. If the signal strength is strong enough, then the activation function lets it through. You have also some addition, which is called bias, but this is like the simplest way to imagine a neural network cell. Now, what residual connections do, you have this path to go straight to this neural network cell, or you can also bypass it. So you add like a second route. So think of it like a 2-lane highway. So you can either go through the neural network cell or you can take the second lane. Now, this kind of concept was super powerful and used like a lot in neural network architectures, like one of the fundamental principles. But during training, residual connections actually lead to some issues. So it's called vanishing gradients. So I won't become too technical. You can just imagine vanishing gradients as something that when you train the model, you just first go from left to right. So you put in all the inputs, you get an output. Then you look at the result. Well, is it correct or not? If it's not correct, what happens is you go a back propagation. So you go from right to left. Now, what you do is you update the gradients. So you actually update the connections between the neural layers. And with that, now what happens is in these residual parts, sometimes these gradients start to become too big, and this actually destroys your whole training pipeline. Now, this was a known problem, and actually no one touched it over the last decade. So this was laying around, and this led also to higher costs during training. And DeepSeek actually solved that. So this is now kind of gone. So what they did is they first thought about, okay, what about adding actually extra lanes in these residual connections? But then they saw, okay, adding the extra lanes makes actually this instability problem even harder. But then they had this idea, okay, let's keep the extra lanes, but let's add also guardrails on top. And this solved it. So if you imagine like if the signal noise problem was like 3000x, they just reduced it now to 1.6. So it's a huge step. So now you kind of don't have this instability anymore. And with that, you can make the models more intelligent, but you can also easier train these large-scale models, like 1 trillion size models are now much easier to train with that approach. And they made it public. So I'm pretty sure they're going to use it for their next model. So probably the DeepSeek R2. But I'm also pretty sure like Anthropic, OpenAI, and others will most probably also leverage that. And it's super cool. So this makes like large-scale model training much easier. And with that, as like application builders, the next gen models in this year, they're going to be completely different.
Wow. So we can be excited about the model releases this year. I think this is super
absolutely
clear. Also, I remember now, as you say, Huang, the NVIDIA CEO, he was mentioning that the new processors are also leading to such great advancements in model training to train them faster and more effectively. So yes, together with those kinds of new insights, we can expect really great model breakthroughs this year.
Yeah, it kind of looks like the infra part is becoming more and more efficient. Also, like the algorithmic side of things is also becoming more efficient. And now we can, like, as application builders, really just focus on the top layer and bringing like our own mode just in there and like add the necessary spices to help more customers. And by the way, I think something personally important happened for you as well in this week, Tilman. So we could see now you're actually leaving AWS, which is, of course, really sad. But as I know you, you think things through very well. So maybe like first of congrats. So it was over 5 years at AWS. And for the ones of you who don't know that, there is this color of badges. So when you enter AWS, you get a blue badge. And then after 5 years, you get an orange badge. And yeah, Tilman, now you're leaving as an orange badge. And with that, like, yeah, kudos like to all your achievements. And maybe if you personally reflect, what were like your most beautiful highlights during your time at AWS?
So I would say, first of all, I'm extremely grateful for that time that I had in AWS. These were over 5 years. I'm actually glad I made it to the orange badge, indeed. I'm extremely grateful because it was on a professional level, on a personal level, such a learning journey. I think the privilege of working with those customers on very innovative topics about cloud, about AI, really working at the edge of technology, but then also working in a culture with those 16 leadership principles. And Amazon was founded as with a vision to become the everything store, which eventually became reality. But then around those 16 leadership principles, these 16 leadership principles, they made evolve a company where each individual steps up as a leader, lives by those principles, which is the reason why Andy Jassy labeled it as the world's biggest startup. So I had the privilege to work in this world's biggest startup for over 5 years. And honestly, it did something with me. Those leadership principles, they are so ingrained in me. I live by those principles. I live by those standards in all aspects of life. And it's so beautiful to also understand this concept so deeply. I remember reading the book Principles from Ray Dalio. It's a lot of principles he speaks about. But the idea is living by principles. It's such a powerful thing for me as an individual, but also on an organizational level, or especially on an organizational level. So this is something that I would say experienced myself. I'm deeply grateful for that. I met amazing people, amazing colleagues, as I said, amazing customers. And what really impressed me last week was this supportiveness of all the people I know, all the comments on my LinkedIn post, all the people who reached out to me personally, who congratulated me for the over 5 years, but also for my next step. So it was truly a special moment in time for me. Yeah, and maybe 2 more things I want to highlight. One is that AWS continuously opened doors for me. I did have to be proactive for that. So if you ask the people in AWS who know me, I was always proactive, seeking for the next level, for the team, for the customers, and in a way that meant the next level for myself as well. I think in this way, I created a lot of growth opportunities for myself, and AWS gave them to me. For example, since this year, I was a team lead in our German software and technology sales team. And I had my next steps also planned in AWS, and I'm deeply grateful for that. And nonetheless, then at this point, I took the decision, and it was really, really, really a difficult one, to step out of AWS now for an external opportunity. Lastly, I really want to highlight the supportiveness of my managers, of my leaders. As I told them about this possibility to leave AWS, for me personally, this was a very hard moment because I like the company so much, because I think there would be so much more impact that I could have in that company, and also because I feel deeply grateful for everything that the company did for me, but also my managers in particular. So when I communicated it, it was a really difficult moment for me. But when I think of how open they were, how supportive they were, even in this step, from the beginning saying, hey, whatever decision you take, I'm fully behind you. This truly impressed me. And the support along the decision process until I did take my decision to go out, and helping me also with the transition out. I mean, my managers, they helped me with the next career step that would have been ahead in AWS, but they even helped me to support my next personal endeavor, which will be outside of AWS. And this truly impressed me. And this is really, I think, after all, another sign of just of the culture. And I must say, I get almost goose skin when I speak about that, because I feel like
I can feel it.
I feel like all of those people are behind me. I opened my eyes and I got aware of the power of that network. I think
it's real.
It's more than just business, after all. It's more than just business. And this is good because we, and I personally, spend a lot of time and thoughts in the professional space. But I think this now to bring it back to this podcast. In this podcast here, I think we are combining 2 worlds. We are combining different worlds. We are combining AI with the personal development space. And to me, the best thing is to work in an area where I also feel comfortable, where there is no clear separation between work and between life. It's more like in harmony. I want to invite my work colleagues to special occasions, or I want to speak about deep personal things with them, because the human connection is there, the human support, the understanding, the sincere wishing the good for the other person. So these are some things that come to my mind when I think of my transition out of AWS. And trust me, when I was in AWS, every day we were speaking about AI, and I enjoyed it. But now, transitioning out, I'm thinking of all those human values, all those human things, because even though we were speaking about AI all of the time, there was a deep human connection behind it. And I texted so many people, and so many people reached out to me. And I will also reach out to more people in the next days. It's just a matter of capacity. But what I tell people is, hey, I'm here for you. If you need me, if you need advice, text me. And I sense the same thing from other people. So it was a moment of transition for me, but also a moment of reflection and a moment to open my eyes to see some of the gains, some of the positive things in full color, in full light. And I'm deeply grateful for that. It's an unforgettable moment, honestly.
Yeah, Tilman, it was, I think, a really beautiful moment, and it really shows like how much passion you have for this company, but also especially for the different teams you worked with. And I was like one member there, and I like from my personal side, I can say I was super grateful to work with you. And of course, we have this podcast, and we will drive the podcast together. We have this 1 million subscriber goal this year. So think big. Shout outs to Jeff for the and Andy for the leadership principles. And and I'm pretty sure everyone is currently, of course, very sad. But on the other side, we all know you. You're a very supportive person. So you always try to help your teammates to help others to grow as well. And so I think like the journey continues together. On a broader perspective, and this also shows like what you also said, like on a management level, like how much support you got. I think this is also very special about this organization where we work together at, and this is something I also saw over time, and I'm also very grateful for that. And also thanks for highlighting that, because I think this is not something that you always have. It's also very special, and it's really beautiful to see that you get now the support necessary to go to the next step. And I think you highlighted many important points. Maybe if there is something personal for you, where you say, hey, this thing is one of the things that I'm so proud of because I did that during my time at AWS. It might be a project, but it can be really anything. So if you want to highlight something special here.
I had the privilege to be the account manager for Celonis the last 2 years. And I think we built up a quite substantial AI strategic partnership. And you can read blog articles about it, listen to podcasts. And there are some announcements, for example, on Celosphere about it. So I think we built a quite substantial AI partnership. This is certainly something that I'm proud of because we did that in a very accelerated way, which was helpful because there is so much need out there for agentic AI in enterprises. I would say with a strong context. So having this context graph of what is an agent allowed to do and what not, or what's the outcome that the agent wants to achieve, but what are the boundaries, the restrictions, and then coming up with completely new ways. And here AWS and Celonis, they synergize in a very, very good way. And we built a strategic partnership around this. But this is just one thing on a customer thing that I would highlight out of many. And then a lot of things on a personal level. But for example, also an internal project where we wanted to help local software companies to be more successful in, we call it co-sell. So helping software companies sell together with AWS. And I drove that project on a German level. And then I augmented this project on an EMEA level. And I created a virtual team around this. That was the focus last year. So at scale, helping software customers to become more successful in go-to-market. This is also a project that I'm very proud of. And then there are many more examples, including mentoring people, helping people grow, which mean personally a lot for me. So these are some highlights maybe to point out. And thank you for the question. It's a very powerful question.
Yeah, thank you, Tilman. Amazing. So I think this is like a beautiful story. And again, like kudos to you. And I'm really excited about your next step. I'm not sure yet if you can already tell about it, but we can also keep this for one of the next episodes to also understand better. Yeah, maybe I was thinking we can also take now a step to look at our challenges, if you like. So let's take a look back at last week. So I think last week for me, the challenge was to actually build a personal video about why I created Pumping Code. This one is still in the recording, so I hope like within the next days I can release it. So it's still on my list. So yeah, hold me accountable for that. So we're not just putting this one out. And for you, Tilman, maybe you have it already on top of your mind. I think it was a compact version of your mindset for vibe coding with AI.
Yes.
How far are you with that one?
So it's finished. It's completely recorded. It's going to
Nice.
be released today. It's going to be released today. So
Nice.
when you listen to this podcast, you can find it on YouTube.
Cool. So we will link it also in this episode,
Yes.
as well with the other video coming from me about the like story behind pumping code. And then I think you also wanted to share the public recording of this communication class. So it's the one now on Wednesday, right?
The one on Wednesday is about
Yeah.
NLP skills for sales. The communication masterclass is yet a different one.
Okay.
This was my commitment for the following episode. So give me another 5 to 7 days for this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Be out there.
Good quality needs time. So we don't want to rush anything. So yeah, we're looking forward for episode 4, and where we will also, so where you will focus more around that. And yeah, I think we're very close to the end of this episode. Also, like, thanks a lot to the audience to keeping up with us until here. On top of the things we discussed, Tilman, are there any other trends that you see, especially when it comes to AI for this year?
So before I go there, let me highlight one more thing that just came to my mind related to my transition. Because earlier, Puria, you were saying two things. First one is, how can I have the biggest impact? And the second one is about purpose. So what I really felt is that those people I worked with, they had a bigger purpose. And the bigger purpose and the bigger impact, it's not necessarily bound to one organization. It is something bigger. We have this joint purpose, this joint mission, which is another reason why people were so supportive, because we feel like we all want to do things better. We all want to help. We want to be helpful in some way. And if we see this as the North Star, then it's completely okay if somebody leaves one company and joins another one. And that was really a key insight for me. Another thing that I want to share is, since we are speaking about next episode, so in the next episode, you might already see a different background, because I had a very artistic experience in the last days. I iterated with ChatGPT about a new podcast background. And at the end, I asked ChatGPT to create a painting for me. And after several iterations using ChatGPT Image 1.5, I finally decided this one is amazing and I'm going to print it. And you're going to see it soon here behind me on the wall.
So cool. I'm looking forward to that one. And I'm really curious, like, what it might be. And and with that, I also want to comment on what you said with the bigger purpose perspective, also like what you saw from leadership. Thanks for bringing this in. I think like this is like a good example of good leadership. So if you like see the bigger picture, and if you can be the North Star, and I think like if everyone grows, at the end of the day, you have so many synergy effects. And this also, like from a sales perspective or product development perspective, this brings so many like intersections where you get out results which you couldn't foresee. Maybe things happen which you can't even plan.
Exactly, 100%. And now to get back to your original question, any other trends that I see? So the final one would be context graphs. Giving agents all the context they need to take the right decisions in organizations. Of course, getting from organizational charts more to task-based and outcome-based ways of thinking in organization. So we don't have to use the same process and make it 10%, 20% more effective. We can just say, this is the outcome. These are the components that we have. Let's find the best way to make it 10x more effective and 10x more sustainable. And for that, the context is super crucial. So I listened to this episode of the AI Daily Brief, one of my favorite podcasts about context graphs. And I learned a lot, but I would actually like to go deeper. So Puria, that would be my challenge for you for next time, to present. I think also a YouTube video would be helpful. You can decide on the length. It could be a 2-minute nugget video or a 5-minute video with more explanation about context graphs, why they are important for AI. Who are the players? What is the state of arts? What are maybe some new concepts there? And what does our audience have to know basically to prepare for that?
Oh, it's a beautiful idea. So yeah, with that being said, challenge accepted. Thanks for this challenge, Tilman. And I was thinking about like, maybe we can pause for a second the trends. And I was thinking about the challenge for you as well for this week. And how about if you can help our audience on how they can 10x their network? Because this is something you are so strong in, right? You go for a marathon, you don't go for a marathon, you just go for a walk, you meet a group of people, you connect with them, you then go for the marathon. So this is just one simple example, but also like in a professional world, in your daily job, you're applying that continuously. And if you can like help the audience to find a framework, like how they can actually expand their network, connect more meaningful with others and build strong relationships, which helps them to help others, but also, get to the next level themselves.
I would love to. And may I just share 2 nuggets that come to my mind?
Of course, let's go.
So sometimes approaching a group of people or approaching a stranger,
yeah.
the worst feeling is actually the regret of not doing it typically afterwards. What would have been if? So that's a long-term pain. But what can happen in that moment when you just go back, when you just speak with them? We only have this one life. So I encourage everybody to do the unusual, to do the uncomfortable things in the moment, because the long-term pain of not doing things is much, much harder. So I think this is one key of building network, while of course we have to be open, empathetic to the other people. Also, I would say helpful and useful if it's in the business context. Think about it, how can you be helpful for the other person? And in general, about managing network, I will speak about some frameworks and idea and practices, but honestly, it's also sometimes very, very hard. It's very, very hard because there are lots of people, and especially as I'm in this community building motion. So how to be present for each single individual, but at the same time in a scalable way. So how to be approachable, but at the same time, I want to still have the focus and the time for myself. So what I do in my communities, I help other people step up there. For example, on Monday, we have a meeting with the 5 core people of our Munich tech sales community. We have a dinner and we plan a little bit the events that will happen this year. And in a similar way, I'm also doing it for other communities. But to make it very practical, Puria, challenge accepted. And I will deliver on that. I will deliver on that. Yes.
So cool. So cool. I'm really excited about this one. And yeah, maybe with that being said, I think we can wrap up like this whole challenge universe we are building up. And let's go back to the trends. Tilman, anything else you see like important to highlight?
I think I've shared enough trends for today. So from me, nothing more to highlight. What about you?
Yeah, maybe one point like to close up, I would also add here. We can see now this trend like RAG is fading away. Like this approach of taking unstructured data, applying semantic search, looking like for relevant context and then use that with your LLM. This is fading away. The focus is now going on taking the unstructured data, applying the energy and time to get it structured, and then using context engineering. And this is like the next thing. And with that, we can see like, you can kind of see that RAG is fading away and context engineering is becoming more and more powerful. And with that, these ETL pipelines enterprises need to have in place. These are like crucial, especially for this year.
Okay, so RAG is kind of a given. And then basically what you're saying is what we are doing when we are building with AI, when we are building software, this context engineering, basically apply this on the organizational context.
Exactly. This is the big thing currently going on. So if you're at the edge, you're already doing it. If not, you will see others do it and then copy it maybe in 6 months.
Cool. The last thing I want to share is I'm a big listener of the AI Daily Brief podcast, and they have a 10 weeks challenge now. Every week, learn a new concept in AI. And yesterday, I decided to take that challenge, So check in with me on that next week. Probably I can share more about that.
Definitely.
And to everybody who's listening, if you're curious about it, check out the 10 weeks challenge of the AI Daily Brief to up-level your skills in AI.
Nice.
These are my last words for today.
Yeah, nothing to add from myself again. Thank you so much, Tilman. As always, this was a well-spent hour. I really enjoyed it being on the podcast with you. And yeah, I really hope that you have a strong start into the next week. And yeah, let's go. Now we go for the goals for 26.
Let's go for the goals for 26. Yes. Puria, I also
Nice.
wish you a great start. All the best, and speak to you
Thank you
next
so
time.
much. See you the next time when it's about the Extra Mile podcast.
When it's about the extra mile, remember to always go the extra mile.
Yes. Bye-bye. Take care.